All right, the injuries for today. All right, Mo Hurst, calf, won't practice. Trent Williams, ankle, won't practice. Deebo, calf, won't practice. Jimmy Ward, quad, won't practice. Elijah Mitchell, rib, won't practice. Go ahead.
Is George going to be back at practice today?
Yes, he is. Yeah, him and Jeff Wilson.
And no Robbie?
And Robbie. Yeah. Don't tell him I forgot.
Is the hope that Elijah will be able to practice at some point during the week?
Yes, yeah, the hope is.
What about Aziz and D Ford?
Yeah, they're full go. They're back. Yeah.
You expect George to hit the ground running and be ready to play right away?
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not counting on it 100%. I'm waiting to see how he is today. We're going to slow it down a little bit. Just been banged up the last couple of weeks. We're going to go pretty slow today. But I think the real test will be for him tomorrow.
What's up with your preparing for Arizona, not knowing Kyler's status? How big a challenge is that?
Not much because we're preparing like he's going to play. So we're not looking at any differently. If he doesn't, we'll adjust to that.
Is Deebo not practicing just out of caution?
No, he couldn't go today. Hopefully he'll be able to go tomorrow. I'd be surprised if he can't go by Sunday, but he definitely can't go today.
How much has he meant to your offense this season? I mean, he obviously has a large chunk of percentage of the yards, but just with everybody else just kind of getting back in the flow and losing George last few weeks.
I think he means a ton. I mean, it's and I think he did last year too when he played. When you guys look at those games, and whenever you can get a playmaker like that out there, and guys got to worry about it. Not only it helps him, but it helps other people around him. And I didn't expect Deebo to have such a big game versus Chicago, but the way the guys around him stepped it up too, I thought it made things a lot easier just to allow that to happen naturally. And it was good on everybody's part.
Did he re-aggravate his calf, or is it just sore?
Re-aggravated. I mean, it was hurting him the week before, and he played a lot and threw a lot, and it felt worse after.
I think you said after the game that Brandon had a hamstring.
Ayuk?
Yeah, did you?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Very wrong.
On the Deebo,
I think I mentioned Charlie just being tighter throughout the year and stuff. I think that's what I said, but I could be wrong too. I don't remember the press conferences as well as you guys do.
on the Deebo screen, 83 yards, obviously Mack and Brunskill got way down. Is that a key to that play?
Oh yeah, that's what gives you a chance to get a touchdown. I mean, that's the stuff that you got to be good at to have a chance to get a first down in those situations. Usually you do it perfect and it leads to 4th and 2. So there was some really good effort on that play from everybody across the board, and then Deebo just having the speed to almost get it down there.
Specifically those two guys, the center and the right guard, or just whoever can release?
No, it's everybody, but usually the backside tackle from the whole front side on. And Trent started it off. He overran Ogletree a little bit, which they always go there and backdoor him, and for him to shut it down and stop it, which allowed it to go and hit. We ran a play to Ayuk 2 plays before at the exact same play. And we ended up getting a clipping on it, which put us in that longer yardage. But all those guys are coming out hard, going against the grain, and it's hit or miss.
I also noticed after the bomb to Deebo, Mack was the first one down in position to snap while most everybody else on the field was still running way behind him. It's going back to Atlanta, has he always had that kind of awareness? And I guess that's a showcase of his speed too.
Going back to Cleveland, he's always been that same way. That's why I used to call him, and still do, I call him our golden retriever, because he does that in practice every play. He's always running down the field, chasing the tennis ball wherever you throw it, and he enjoys playing football, and he never stops, and that's exactly how he is in practice every play.
We saw the video of you after the game. Seemed to be some words that maybe were silent, that maybe it looks like your mouth was moving, but there was nothing on the audio.
Yeah.
Is that just kind of like when you have that post game address to the team, like what's going through your mind? Is it just stream of consciousness?
Yes. I mean, you don't have time to do anything else, so you just talk. And I haven't seen it, but I can imagine. I don't have the best vocabulary. I probably know a total of like 80 words. So I have to use those words sometimes to express myself, and that's why I do a lot better in meetings and stuff where I'm allowed to do that as opposed to stuff like this.
Regarding Kittle, you or John, or both of you, in the past have talked about you're trying to lessen his workload in 2018. you decided that's why you got 4 tight ends to start the season. I understand why you wouldn't want to take George Kittle off the field much, but his workload hasn't been lessened. And asking in light of the injuries he sustained really throughout his career, and then his last couple of seasons, injuries that he can't play through. Do you have to look at that at some point, or something?
Yeah, I think when you talk about workload for tight ends, it's about training camp, it's about practice, it's about stuff like that. When a guy's not healthy, you always got to do that. But I mean, I haven't heard of people managing a tight end, especially one like Kittle. I mean, tight ends go. They play every play usually. Lots of them. You have different personnel groupings, but most tight ends are over 80% of the game. But Kittle's always going to play through stuff and go out there when he isn't 100%. And when he's not 100%, that's when you definitely got to do that. But I've never done that with a tight end before, though.
Is there any concern at all that the qualities that make him such a special player and an inspirational player in terms of aggression and contact could also be things that could, limit him in terms of the recurring injuries?
Yeah, I think it depends on the injury. I think we're dealing with the Achilles calf thing, and that's also because of how explosive he is and stuff like that too. That happens with explosive players who are especially not in the 170s and stuff like that. I think you deal with Deebo. I mean, when you have the size of him and you're as explosive as you are, things do happen. Used to have it with Julio. Not many people are 230 can run 4.3. So the impact of that power and size, putting it into the ground every play, is always a higher risk of that type of stuff. So yeah, you got to be concerned with that. But Kittle does take care of himself. I think he got off to a rough start this year and tried to play through some stuff, and it's been lingering. Hopefully this break helped him, and hopefully we'll have some better luck getting back.
The fourth down tries throughout the league are way up. How is your philosophy on fourth down change? Has it changed at all since you became a head coach, or are you approach it the same way?
I'm the same way. I go for it when I think it's the right decision to go for it, not just because of what analytics say. I do listen to analytics a ton, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But when it comes down to 4th and 1, I think I explained this a few weeks ago. But it's about how you feel in the moment, where you're at on the field, what's the call that you have, what are the fronts that they played, do you think you can block their guys, how good's the quarterback on the other side, what's the moment in the game, what's the weather. There's a lot of variables that go into that, and I know a lot of people have upped it in the NFL, especially on their own side of the 50, which is somewhat surprising. But I think guys have had some success with it, which has helped them win games, and I think guys haven't, which has helped them lose games. So there's never a right or wrong answer until after the play.
Worry about knowing coaches that go for it a lot because it gives them an extra down. So when you're going against that, is that something that you're aware of, that this guy might really go for a lot more now?
You're aware for it to prepare, understand, and a lot of people who go for it, that might make their third down call a little bit different than what you're used to. It might be more like a second down call, knowing that they have 2 tries to get it. When you're expecting that a lot, you don't always have to be as risky on third down. So I think it changes maybe a little bit how you play, but just because someone's going to do it doesn't mean you're going to play it differently on offense. That if it's working and they're getting more points than you and you're having trouble stopping them, then you got to adjust and you got to go. But you always wait to play out the game, however it's unfolding.
What are you guys getting with Charles Omenihu?
One, we've been banged up there at our D-line, outside and inside, especially here in the last couple of weeks. So we thought it could be important to add some depth to us. Also, looking into everything, the fact that getting him this year, a guy that does have another year on his contract, we don't want to do anything that, we'd love to do stuff that can help us this year, but you don't want it to be at the expense of next year. So that made total sense to us, and we just got him in here today, and we'll get him out to practice here this week, and I think he'll fit in.
Did you follow his career at Texas?
We studied him coming out, so I'm well aware of him coming out, but no, I didn't study him here. That's what guys a bit upstairs been doing. They gave us a tape. Our coaches think that he could fit in, and I'm excited to have him here.
You mentioned the other day Greenlaw still had some tests to pass to get his window open. Is that still possible this week, or are you looking?
No, we're looking at next week. Yeah, he didn't quite to get to where we want. Scared of just re-injuring and rushing back a little too early, so we're going to have to put it off another week.
With the Henry Ruggs situation, obviously it's terrible and it's common sense stuff, but do you have to address anything like that, or just how do you talk to your team about situations like that?
I didn't address it as a team. I talked to guys individually, just because it's such a big deal and it's such a tragedy and it's such a sad thing to see. We went through the draft process with him a year ago, and I think a lot of guys do know him, but just anytime you see something like that, I think we have the same reaction that probably everyone else on the planet has. It makes you sick to your stomach on both sides, and something that happens too much in this world, and something that not everyone cannot see enough lessons on that and why it can end very fast.
Take some more.
Did Trent's ankle injury influence what you asked him to do on Sunday?
No. Yeah.
You mentioned GPS, just, when asked about IU, not specific to IU. How closely do you look at those numbers? Does someone bring them up to you and go, look at this, or are you looking at these numbers yourself?
No, we get a print up on everyone every day after practice and then on Mondays after the game. So it's something that I've just gone more into each year. Early on, I didn't always think they were that accurate, especially when I'd see Miles throwing his pads around and showing that he could throw his pads 30 miles per hour, and I know he couldn't run 30 miles per hour. But you watch so much as coaches, and you're like, man, the guys seem dead today. Man, they seem fast, stuff like that, and you're always doing it with your eyes, and it's really nice to match it up with some facts, and that stuff really helps.
Does it really kind of equal to things you see with your eye?
Yeah, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. Like, one guy might be the fastest guy in the field that day, but he's the only guy that got a go route, and the DB didn't cover him, so he finished it for the next 40 yards and was really able to open it up, where everyone else was running some shorter stuff and didn't get to open it up. So it can be deceiving. You got to look into all of it. Just because someone has the fastest time doesn't mean they were the fastest. They might have the best opportunity. Sometimes some guys who can't run get the fastest time, and I started to try to figure out how they were doing that, and then I noticed after our stretch, Juice and Sudfeld, and they were all sprinting to the next drill as fast as they could, and so they were the only guys who really got like a track time in that day, and they weren't. No, I get everyone's time. Yeah, I get everyone's time.
But like you get their fastest time.
Yeah, it'll say their max speed, their average speed. Yep.
Do the players get the printouts too?
I don't know if they do, but we definitely bring it up to them. Yeah, something that I am so glad they didn't have when I played.
You mentioned
Last one, guys.
Friday, I think you said you want to have an announcement about Kinlaw and his surgery.
Yeah, not me. Someone who can explain it a lot better. Have they not done that? All right, yeah, the doctor who did it will write it up for you guys and get it out and explain it all. So try to get on that.
And then you'll translate.
No, I won't. I'll reread it for you guys if you want. Good? All right, guys.